Today makes it exactly 1 year that we moved into Germany. I mean, it feels like yesterday. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new on this channel, thank you for showing up here. My name is Tolokwa Adeyemo. On this page, I share my real life experience to encourage moms and to just, keep us being happy, the community of growing moms. That's basically what we do here. So if you're interested in stuff like this, just stick around. Okay, so without further ado, let me get right into it. So today makes it exactly 1 year we moved into Berlin, the capital city of Germany. I can remember vividly that, we have these friends of ours that were on our neck, the guys, won't you leave Nigeria? They were processing their whole travel and all of that. We're just like, we're not let to leave. We don't see any reason to leave. Not long after that, my husband got a job with a German company and they requested we came. We just told them no, that we are okay. Like it would just continue to work from home back in Nigeria, only for us to get to a point where we knew that we just needed to leave. We were just so sure we needed to leave, and the company in Germany started the process by themselves. That was when they don't know me that am I really leaving my country? I remember that day clearly that my husband was going to book our flight and I was like, are you just going to book that flight? And he booked March 3rd. We actually landed here March 4th. So maybe by the time you'll be seeing this video, it will be 2 days after now. It's just so amazing how, by the help of God, we obeyed, even though it was quite against our wish that we left our country at the time we left. So that was how we moved out of Nigeria. So guys, this video is actually about our experience in Germany for the past 1 year. Like, you'll be asking, like, you'll be thinking that what has it been like, Tolu? Like, what has it been like? Man, I'm here to gist you guys. Like, I'm just all here for you. And wow, the experience has been great with a lot of challenges in between. I won't lie to you, but it hasn't been rosy. It's been with a lot of ups and downs. This is my own personal experience. I am not saying it is general. So let me start from when we picked up from Nigeria. We got an apartment from Nigeria before we got here. It's a serviced apartment, that is, everything we needed already was in the house. Meanwhile, in Germany, for every apartment, you sign a contract, that is a time duration you're going to be staying in that apartment. The apartment we got is a 6-month contract apartment. That is to say, at the end of 6 months, we would leave the house and go get another apartment. Soon we began to look for kita. Then I began hearing that to get a kita in this place, in this environment, is hard. The reason why it's hard is because schools are almost every time full, and meanwhile I can't work without my son going to the kita. So we began to search. I mean, the first month went, second month, third month, fourth month, fifth month, we're still searching. And in the midst of all that, I was so bored. I had no friends. The friends I had were in Nigeria, and of course, you know the way data is, unlike here. Okay, so in a nutshell, that was what inspired my online presence, my social media network, and it's actually what I love to do. So I needed to look for something that I could do that would not warrant my presence physically, but I can do from the comfort of my home. Along the line, I began to really pray to God for a friend. I mean, I do this regularly because I'm quite a traveler. Like my life, the way I grew up. So for every place I get to, I really trust God for friends, because of course, you don't know somebody completely from the outward look. You have to get close to particularly know who somebody is, and he does that every time. He brought me very good friends. Not long, I just connected with this lady at the supermarket. That's how we got talking. She put me through things to do to be able to get kita. So the way it works here is you apply to a kita. There are sites where you can find kita that have free spaces. You apply to them through your email, then you wait for their response. And seriously, I applied to over 40-50 kita. It's called kita here, but it's actually kindergarten. Yeah, in fact, altogether the kita I sent messages to, okay, maybe some kita must have repeated the process, but I can almost say 120 because I kept sending messages. So at the end of the day, I got one response. I started the process. So that process again is another one, because they believe that the child should by his or herself settle down in the school. They do something they call settling down period, where whoever wants to do the settling down period with the child, it could be the mom, it could be the dad. So you come along with your child, you stay in the same room with the teachers, they relate with your child, they try to make the children play, excluded from the other students. That's how they do it. So you're not allowed to go meet the child, but the child can come and meet you. You can just pacify the child and encourage the child to move back to the teacher and all of that. The more you do that, like maybe the second day, you can be asked to leave for like 10 minutes so they see the response of the child. If the child cries, you're called back inside. If not, they begin to extend the time. So it depends on how the child responds. That's how quickly you can be free from the settling down period. It spans between 2 to 4 weeks. So if the child doesn't respond in time, you can continue the process. There were other parents also doing settling down period for their kids. We started together. And so the process continued up until other children graduated. My son didn't graduate from the settling down period because he was not settling in well. The teachers had to call me and tell me that my son isn't responding as they expect him to. He's not relating with other kids, which is not good for the other kids also. And they said he wasn't hitting their food, and that's, I wasn't even expecting him to, because already he finds hard to hit the food from the house, not talk of German food. So, and that's what they do at the kita. Most of them provide food for the kids. You are not allowed to bring food for your kid. So the school proposed that I go run a test on my kid to be sure if he's okay. In short, to be sure if he doesn't have autism, and that was the height of it. I had to explain to the kita that, okay guys, why not let's, maybe other ways, like, because they asked a lot about him. How was the boy before? At this time, Daniel was just 1 year, 8 months. And they were asking how he has been in, the kita in Nigeria. I was like, they never had an issue with him in Nigeria. He was playing, he even had his favorite teachers. And also here, language is a barrier. He could only connect to one of the teachers who speaks English, others can't. They were insistent on the fact that I go for the test, or else they can't continue with the settling down period. I thought the test was going to be a simple thing. I was asked to go see his pediatrician. School gave me a referral letter just to let them understand what is going on. And at the end of the day, when I got there, they were quite confused at first. Then they told me I needed to see a social pediatrician. And guys, to cut the whole long story short, by the time we checked for a social pediatrician, it was not even easy to get an appointment. They asked us to fill a lot of forms, and that's something about Germany. They call something German bureaucracies. Like, everything about them is document upon document. You fill documents. Even him entering the school, we fill documents and all of that. While schooling is free here, is an advantage. It's free, but not totally free. You pay a token. But if you have, there's something they call Berlin Pass for kids. If you have it, then you don't have to pay. Well, of course, those things are long processes. By the time I saw the long process of social pediatrician, I was like, what exactly am I going to say is wrong with this child? Because at the end of the day, nothing is wrong with the boy. He newly came to an environment, he's finding hard to settle in. It was a devastating time for me, because at the end of the day, his settling down period extended to about 2 months, and I was really hoping that he was going to settle here. And obviously, even in the school, he was the only African. So I just felt these guys are just finding hard to settle this guy in. Their culture is different from ours, and the school rules do not just favor the boy, and it's just best not to have him be stigmatized in the school. I just knew I needed to take him out of the school, so we had to start looking for school again. Man, guys, I'm laughing about it now, but it wasn't funny. So before my son started going to the kita, it was time for us to leave our apartment. Now, that's another issue with Germany or Berlin. It's hard to find apartments. It's hard to find schools. It's hard to find apartments. We started looking for an apartment. Immediately we entered into Germany. We now had to approach our landlord that, can you please extend the contract so that we can have enough time to get an apartment? And the man went, no. Like, kind of crazy that this is a serviced apartment. It has to be 6 months and nothing more. So guys, that was how the rush began. We just had to leave. And at the time, Daniel was still settling in school. Man, it was quite a rough time. At the same time, my husband changed his job. He was supposed to drop his resignation letter on a Monday, and only for my husband to get to work, and the information got to them that the company is folding up. I'm telling you that this was the height of a miracle. This is how it is when you travel out of the country. It depends on what route you come in through. We came in through my husband's job, so he needs to continue working. You can't be afloat, because once you're not working within 3 months, if you don't get another job, then you should leave the country. That's according to the law. And you earn monthly, you pay your rents monthly, you pay your bills monthly. How are you supposed to survive in those 3 months? Guys, I'm laughing now. But really, we were dumbfounded. What? They were like, how is he going to do it? They newly moved in, he moved in with his family. They were concerned for my husband. See, just know God. Like, that's my summary. Like, you don't want to know what people are going through in this part of the world. He had to tell them that he was still about to even let it out to them that he wants to resign today. So it was not a funny experience for others who were affected. It was a trying time. Meanwhile, it affected us in a way also, because he newly moved to a place, and he has to work before he gets paid. Meanwhile, where he was at, they couldn't pay him because the company had folded up. And so, but thank God for structure and systems in this place, where even if your company is not able to meet up, then the government takes over. But the process for the government to take over still takes a while. It took like 2 to 3 months. A whole month passed, guys. My husband didn't earn any income, and I wasn't working. We didn't earn any money. There was no money in the house. It was not a funny experience, but God came through. We conversed with our landlord, let him know what was up. The man seemed like he agreed at first. Well, guys, after a while, it was like, okay, we need to pay something because, of course, we should have some savings. Despite all, what's happening, we explained all the story to this guy, and he just did that. I was just saying in summary that we didn't have to beg people for money. We didn't call anybody. In fact, when we're telling people about this, it was a testimony already, but miraculously, God did it. My husband, he got something else, and somehow the money showed up. We paid the man before the deadline he gave us to get the money. So miraculously, again, just 1 week to the time he gave us to have left, we got an apartment. Meanwhile, houses are expensive in Berlin, and there's now a way you pay. You pay a 3 months down payment, then the month rent when you're entering into a house newly. So for example, if your rent is €1,000, you're expected to pay €4,000. That's 3,000 plus the 1,000 for the month. Is a down payment you must pay. You're allowed to pay it twice, but you have to pay it. Also with the fact that we needed to furnish the apartment little by little. So it was a lot of expenditure, but God miraculously helped us, at the time, and we're able to settle down, and that was how what would have really been a mess of us didn't end up being a mess. Not long from then was when the teacher told me that my son wasn't settling here. I took him out of the school and I began to homeschool my kid. Although, before I came here, I learned a bit of German. Meanwhile, my teacher, she once lived in Germany. I remember that my teacher mentioned it. I had to call her, this is what I'm going through. She was like, exactly what she went through, that she had to go through all those tests and finally found out that nothing was wrong with her child. And again, I heard from another Nigerian that she had the same experience here, that as a child too was diagnosed for autism, that she just took in her child and began to raise her from home. That's how I would have just stressed for nothing being wrong with my child. That was how we solved that. So when we moved to our house, we needed to fix our furnitures, we needed to fix things in the house, guys. The money those guys were calling whenever they visited. We got talking to our Nigerian friends that, guys, is this how you guys pay hugely for home services? That's it about here, like money, guys. So I've spoken about the challenges, and I will speak about the advantages. Actually, the advantages are that they pay your kid, although you have to go through some process, but already they pay my kid, and the transportation system is good, is easily predictable. Another challenge is that you trek a lot, and you have to get used to walking a lot, because your bus stop to where your house is, bus stops between bus stops, you trek a lot, but the transportation system is quite stable. The summary for me, this whole experience taught me that what really matters is being at the center of God's will for your life, letting God lead you to where you should be. I'm trying to say that we would leave Germany if the Lord says we should leave and go back to Nigeria any moment, because we know that wherever God has set our foot is going to prosper us in it. So it's not about a particular place being, oh, this place is all good. The most important thing is being at the center of God's will for your life. And this is what people do wrong. People make their choices before they involve God. And the way the circle should be is, Lord, what do you want for me? So that when challenges like this come, it won't drown you, and somehow God will just show up and just make it all right. So that is exactly what we enjoyed in this 1 year. Despite the whole tantrums hitting us left and center, we came out strong. So cheers to as long as God will have us stay in Berlin. I hope you really enjoyed this video and has blessed you in one way or the other. If it has, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. This is one way you encourage me and help me do more. I really appreciate you guys for your support so far, and please, let's continue the conversation in the comment section, or you can ask your questions. Just feel free to relate down below in the comment section. Thank you guys, thank you for your time. It means a lot to me. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.